Hey, if you've been trying to remove this from your life so that you can be more in alignment with what's inside of this book and you've continued to fail over and over, there's a really simple reason why I'm going to show you in the next 30 seconds. Chances are it's the same reason that I struggled for over 17 years, because I had a behavior that I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop going to this over and over again. And so what I did is I tried to adapt other behaviors. I started to try to use blockers on my computer. I started to try to use apps on my phone. I started to try to read this book more. I started to try to pray more. I started getting accountability partners. I even was a point where I was going to a group every single week that met about this specifically. And I tried counseling over and over. And the thing is, and maybe you've experienced this, counseling didn't work, groups didn't work, accountability didn't work, praying didn't work, reading more didn't work, apps didn't work, blockers didn't work. And the problem is, as I tried all of these things, it led to more doubt and more fear and more frustration that I felt like I was going to just struggle with this for the rest of my life. And I reached this point of just acceptance of this is just how I am, this is who I am, this is how it's going to be. And while I believed that, there was a little part inside of me, and maybe right now there's a little part inside of you that believes that, hey, maybe that isn't true. And that belief started to spark a journey of discovering what my real problem was. And so I want you to consider that you actually don't have a behavior problem. And one of the things that I want you to consider is that this book doesn't talk about a behavior that it's really concerned with. And I want to just kind of put on your heart that God's more concerned about a heart transformation than he is a behavior transformation. And that kind of led me to discover what the real problem actually was. And so the strategy that I was trying wasn't working because I felt like I was chained to failing over and over and giving into this. And so what I was trying to do was actually chain myself to a different behavior. And that left me here in the middle just tormented, right? I was tormented by being chained to the desire for this and then trying to chain myself to all of these other things. And it just led to more tension and more frustration. And maybe you've got to a point where you've realized that resisting these urges are actually just as tormenting as the guilt and the shame that you experience after you give in to them. And so that's where I was for a really long time until I discovered something really key. And it goes into, again, understanding that God's more concerned about a heart transformation than he is a behavior transformation. And so what's interesting is inside of our heart, these desires are created. And what I started to identify is that the problem wasn't necessarily the behavior. The problem was that I had a desire for something that was unwanted, which seems kind of odd because typically we have a desire for things that we do want. And I started to notice that there was something off because I had these desires for something that I didn't want, actually a desire for something that I hated the result of doing, right? I hated how I felt after it. I knew that it needed to change, but the question is, where are these desires coming from, right? And so what we started to identify in my life and what really just changed everything for me is understanding that this dynamic of having an unwanted desire is not normal. It's not how God designed us. There's actually some deeper stuff going on inside of us that are creating these unwanted desires. And so we start to recognize here that the real problem is the desire. And when we're able to figure out that this desire is actually coming from within, freedom requires us to go a little bit deeper than these surface level strategies. And so if you're at a point where you've been trying all of these surface level strategies, nothing has worked, I want to just let you know that we've walked over 6,000 of our clients through understanding what a unwanted desire is, and then actually diving into the deeper heart root problem where we're able to get to a place where we are eliminating that desire. Now, does that mean that we're walking around in a world with no temptation? No, but I want to propose to you that there's a massive difference between a external temptation tempting you and these internal desires that dwell up within that create this internal war. And then you're in this life and death battle of like, do I give in to these unwanted desires and these unwanted controlling urges, or do I not? That's very different than what this book talks about as far as temptation goes. And so if you're experiencing these unwanted desires, if you're experiencing an unwanted desire that's controlling you, I want to propose to you that there's something deeper going on. And if you've always wondered what that may be, what we've done is we've put together a 60-minute training that over 400,000 people have registered to go through. And it's going to walk you through explaining exactly what a root desire is, exactly what a root problem is. And it's going to show you the step-by-step process that we've used for over 6,000 of our clients to walk them through eliminating this eliminating the behavior. And so they're no longer in a situation where they need to be chained to both of these things, and they can walk in freedom. And so I want to let you know that freedom is not resisting successfully. Again, you've probably experienced that it's almost as tormenting as the guilt and the shame of failing, right? And so what I want you to do is I want you to click the Learn More button on this video. I promise you that when you click on that video and you register to watch the training where I'm going to break down exactly the process for eliminating these root desires, you're gonna really understand one thing, and that's that this video wasn't placed in front of you by coincidence, but by design. And so maybe all the stuff that you've been praying for and kind of asking for a solution, maybe it's right in front of you right now. I don't know, but I know that if you click the Learn More button and you register, you're gonna be able to see if that's true or not as soon as you start to watch like the first 90 seconds of that video. And so what you're gonna see after you click the Learn More button and register to watch that video, we're just gonna show you proof, right? Because I know that this is a battle of belief. You might be in a place right now where you don't even believe that it's possible to exist without this tormenting battle every single day like I lived in for over 17 years. I get where you're at right now. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you just proof. I'm gonna show you, not my words, but words from our clients telling you what they've experienced after watching the training. And because you're gonna see that in the first 90 seconds or so, at that point, after you watch the first 90 seconds, you can make a pretty accurate discernment on like, hey, is the rest of the training worth my time or not? I'm not gonna try to convince you of that right now. I just wanna show you. I wanna show you the proof. And so click the Learn More button, register to watch that video right now, just like over 400,000 other people just like you. And I think that, again, you're gonna see that this wasn't placed in front of you by coincidence, but it's probably an answer to a prayer that you might have been praying for a really long time like I did. And so click the Learn More button right now, and I'll see you inside of that training.